Good morning, Liberty, and thank you for coming out to our pre-Memorial Day ceremony. When duty whispers low, thou must, the youth replies, I can. Those words were first written by Ralph Waldo Emerson, and they appear on a plaque in the Liberty's main lobby. The plaque was presented by the class of 1946 to the boys and girls from Liberty High School who served in World War II. Liberty High School is steeped in tradition, and not least among them is the tradition of honoring and remembering those who gave the last full measure of devotion in service to their country. I encourage you to take a time this Memorial Day weekend to remember their sacrifice. Our guest speaker today is Joanne Kilpatrick. Joanne is an alumni of Liberty High School, class of 1978. She attended Northampton Community College and worked as an executive secretary to former Congressman Don Ritter of the 15th Congressional District. After he left office in 1992, Joanne became a secretary to Freedom High School. She is currently one of the main office secretaries to the principal. Joanne's entire family and extended family are graduates of Liberty High School, going back to 1961. You could say her entire family was built by Bethlehem. The Bethlehem Area School District is very important to her. But most important to Joanne is the fact that she is a Gold Star sister since 1969, when her brother Donald R. Kilpatrick, a 1964 graduate of Liberty High School, gave his life for his country while serving in the military in Vietnam. I'd like to introduce to you Joanne Kilpatrick.
Good morning, Dr. Bailey, Liberty High School administration, faculty, staff, and students. It's an honor for me to be here this morning. I am a Gold Star sister, family member of Captain Donald R. Kilpatrick. He was a helicopter pilot with the 187th Assault Helicopter Company who flew fellow brothers in and out of Vietnam. And he was killed in action September 2nd, 1969, my first day of 4th grade at Spring Garden. My brother Donald was a graduate of Liberty High School, where he excelled in academics and sports. Boys soccer was his passion, and he played varsity as a freshman, and he was a co-captain his junior and senior year here at Liberty, under the direction of Coach Mike Benassi. Liberty High School is also where he met his high school sweetheart, Bonnie Kotz, a 1965 graduate of Liberty High School. His soulmate became his wife right before his deployment to Vietnam. My brother was also a father of a 10-month-old son, Michael, when he was killed in action going in to pick up his troops. That particular day, he took a .51 caliber bullet to the back of the head and died instantly. I have some remarks from one of his commanders, retired Lieutenant Colonel Jim Henry. Don was a relative youngster in Vietnam. However, the Army trusted us with awesome responsibilities. When Don was killed, he was being checked out to fly lead on combat assaults. That's a big deal. It means leading our flight of 9 helicopters, each of which had a crew of 4. Aircraft commander, which he was that day, co-pilot, crew chief, door gunner, and loaded with at least 8 infantrymen into and out of the landing zones and pickup zones in any kind of weather. Often under enemy fire, and usually with all 18 of our door guns providing suppressive fire. As flight lead, he was responsible not only for himself, but for his crew, and more importantly, flying in a manner that enabled the other 8 aircraft in the flight to safely follow his maneuvers in very, very close formation, all the while coordinating on the radios with the rest of the flight, the supporting gunships, and the command and control aircraft. Think about it. 9 aircraft, each costing about $4.7 million in today's money, and 108 plus souls, all depending on his flying skills, judgment, and split-second decision-making. Huge responsibility, and a role that many avoided. But Don, graduate of Liberty High School at the age of 22, was certainly equal to the task, or he wouldn't have sought the position or been selected. That loss has been difficult for my entire family. The fabric of a family, when they lose a loved one to war, is like living with a hole in your heart and soul. My nephew never saw his dad smile, never heard him talk, never had the opportunity to hold his hand. An intimate relationship with war is like nothing else. However, you learn to be so incredibly proud to be a part of what they played in serving our nation's call when needed. So as Memorial Day 2021 approaches, please remember it is about the men and women who lost their lives in wartime, the KIAs, the MIAs, and the POWs who never returned. We owe them and their families so much. Visit a local cemetery. See all the sacrifices, all the new flags that come out Memorial Day weekend, either through the cemetery itself or the VFW members. They're all across this city, they're all across this state, and all across the nation. They are gone, but never, ever forgotten. Also at this time, I wanted to publicly thank Dr. Harrison Bailey, who, under his direction in 2019, honored all of the boys who were lost in Vietnam at graduation. And I know many of you were in attendance. That night was so incredibly special for all of our families. Since then, 2 authors, graduates of Liberty High School, Beth Masiato, 1965, and Mark Iampietro, wrote a book called The Boys from Bethlehem. And at this time, I would like to offer Dr. Bailey a signed copy from the authors for Liberty High School's library. Forever, they'll be remembered. Thank you.
First, I want to thank Joanne for coming here today. Your words and your sacrifice are truly something to behold and be thankful for. So thank you for coming here and sharing with us today. Absolutely. And for the book. It's really beautiful. And we'll certainly take good care of it. I wanted to just take this moment. I have this fortunate opportunity due to Mr. Wuchter's hard work each year to speak at this and to just kind of close things. And I just want to close this by reminding us that we live a very, very privileged life. And what I mean by that is we live a life where we don't have to think about the daily sacrifices that are made by our military and our police every day. We don't have to necessarily think about it each day. But for those families who have lost people at war, it's a daily thing. It's something that they're reminded about every day. And so on these days, we have to take a moment and recognize it. We have to take a moment and realize how lucky we are. I often talk to our students about the fact that in some countries, at 14, 15 years old, you might be on the line holding an M16. So recognize that we're privileged and we're thankful for the sacrifices of others so that we can live the lives that we live each day. This is a time period for us to be thankful. A time period for us to recognize that there are men and women who have given the ultimate sacrifice for us. Take a moment at some point this weekend to find a way to recognize that. Find a way to thank someone who maybe lost someone at war. Look at something on the internet, read a book, do something to recognize that sacrifice, because it is absolutely critical to the lives that we live today. I personally ask you to, when you, at some point before you leave the school year, walk in down by Memorial Gym, right outside the gym. We posted a plaque that was gifted to us by the families who lost their children in Vietnam. That plaque is on the wall outside Memorial Gym. Just take a moment and look at it and read the names and recognize that if we were living during that time period, it might be our brothers that were on that wall, our fathers, uncles. Take a moment and read it, digest it, and recognize how lucky we are. I thank you. Again, I thank Mr. Wuchter for putting this on, Mr. Patrick for coming here with us, to our military for showing up and being here to present the colors, and to all of you for coming down to this program. It's a special thing, and I'm so thankful that we do it each year to recognize those individuals that lost their lives. Thank you, and have a wonderful evening.